pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, roll please.
Mayor Warfield.
Be showing excuse.
Mayor Pro Tem Phillips.
Here.
Councilwoman McEachern.
Be showing her excuse. She's out of town.
Councilman Dickerson.
Here.
Councilman Haddis.
Here.
Councilwoman Dobrovolsky. Here. Councilman Powell.
Here.
First item on your agenda is approval of city council minutes for the regular meeting of June 4th.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion of the minutes of June 4th? Mr. Netter?
We happen to have a draft of the minutes that we picked up yesterday, and it has embodied some omissions and accuracies as it pertains to Reverend Hume and comments made by me as it relates to hate groups pertaining to the church in Wayne, New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. Somehow the minutes suggest that he spoke exclusively on games, never mentioned hate groups, mentioned graffiti, never mentioned hate stickers. And I have a tape from the cable. If you played it, you'll see that he mentioned hate groups, he mentioned hate stickers, and my comments as it relates to it is totally not even mentioned, not even one syllable. The fact that he went to the congressional hearings on hate groups is omitted. The fact that he misstate Chief Culligan as saying that we have community policing, when in fact the mayor said we don't have quote-unquote community policing. What we have is a series of activities moving towards that end. It doesn't mention Chief Culligan indicating from the hours of 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. on certain days. They have a specific patrol in the city of Wayne that is taking a close look at not only New Hope, but maybe churches in general. That's on the tape too. We ask that these be reflected and accurate for very important reasons. Since then, on the 14th, in fact, 2 days after that incident, we had 4 churches burned in America, as the Reverend had indicated his concerns and fear here. 2 days later, 4 churches had burned. Since then, maybe 10 to this date, since the last council meeting. The Reverend also mentioned a truck that was stolen, that was left in his parking lot, and it was stolen from Monroe, Michigan. It was left in his lot for 3 days. He mentioned the fact that there was some concern about potential bombs being in the truck, and John Zach, I believe, mentioned on the tape that in that instance they do call upon the Wayne County Sheriff for a bomb squad, that Wayne doesn't have a bomb squad. He went on to mention that the K-9 unit that Wayne has is used sometimes by the West Wayne Police. We're not concerned with everything, but everything in relationship to the church, the truck, the patrolling, the police agency, and the fact that we were here on the concern of hate groups and the stickers that appeared on that church, which I have copies of, with the swap stickers used by Adolf Hitler, appeared on that church in the door April the 29th, and in May 26th, when Lynn Rivers was there visiting the church, we had some graffiti, and of course that could have very well been gangs, and we admit to that. And since then we understand, and I'm sure the deacon who is sitting beside me can tell you, the patrols have increased, and it's helped tremendously, and we haven't seen the activity around the church. So we're just here to point these out to you in the Reverend's absence. He's at the Baptist Convention, and we talked to him back home, and he said, in one case you got here graffiti writing on buildings at his church. Well, that's true, but that was true May 26th. What gave rise to this whole matter was April 29th. And that
Well, Mr. Netter, let us do this. We will review the tape, and I have watched the tape myself since I was absent from that meeting, and some of your comments are well taken, and we will revise the citizens or audience request matters part of the June 4th minutes to more accurately reflect what transpired during that discussion.
And in closing, Mr. Mayor, indicated again, thank all of you for participating in the summit on the 14th. And Cal, you were there. Just thank you for being there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other corrections, additions to the minutes? Hearing none, we have a motion to accept as amended when we review the tape.
Make that motion.
Support.
You have an original motion on the floor.
With the original motion maker, second, support reviewing the audience comment part.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Do you need the motion? Do we have to withdraw?
There's no problem amending it to that point. No problem.
I have no problem to amend that to the motion.
Fine. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 2 is presentations. Presentation of a resolution for Ruth Taylor.
Ms. Taylor? Is she here?
Debbie, is Miss Taylor here?
Come on
Oh,
up,
there she
please.
is, okay. Come on up front.
Madam Clerk, would you read this fine words, please?
Whereas Ruth Taylor provided service to the public at the Wayne Historical Museum from May 1984 to March 1996, and whereas Ruth has been a vital part of the daily operation of the museum, answering inquiries, conducting tours, greeting visitors, and handling general office duties, and whereas she is also a member of the First Congregational Church, frequently assisting with the clerical duties there, and whereas Ruth Taylor and her able assistants will be distinctly missed at the Wayne Historical Museum, now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Kenneth A. Warfield, on behalf of the Wayne City Council and citizens of Wayne, do hereby wish Ruth Taylor all the best as she leaves her employment with the city.
Congratulations.
Take one with just the two, and then take one with Mr. Gowdy present. Yeah, Ruth, do you have other family members here?
A good friend, my daughter-in-law's sister.
Okay, why don't you have one picture with the two of you, and then one with Hank and one with everyone? Okay?
Look right into the camera.
Right behind my roof. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Okay.
Not to be confused with Doug Collins. Come on up here. Right.
They want you closer together, Hank.
My wife, she doesn't mind.
Ruth's been just a tremendous asset to the city, and they run one of the gems in town that folks haven't seen. It is our historical museum. It's just a great place to go. Anytime we have visitors to town, they're amazed that Wayne has such a nice facility to show the history of Wayne, all the past great things that have done. And Ruth certainly has been an integral part of that. Without her services, it wouldn't be the quality it is.
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
I did volunteer work too.
Okay.
Next item on your agenda is requests. There are two requests from the Wayne Chamber of Commerce. The first is for a private property vending permit for a parking lot sale at Metro Place Center with waiver of fee.
Move approval.
Support.
Moved, supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the second is for permission to conduct its annual sidewalk sales, July 25th through the 27th.
Move approval. Support.
Been moved and supported for the sidewalk sales. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Request from the Palace Theater Company for a special event permit and waiver of fees for their 1996 summer concert series.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Is that?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, in your packet are memoranda from the police chief, the city engineer, and the fire. As a matter of fact, it's from the deputy fire chief, relative to the Palace Theater. I'm pleased to report that their concert they had last Saturday, there was no difficulty. The inspections went well. On Friday, the fire marshal or the fire department went back on Saturday and inspected Saturday evening. There was no change from the way they had things set up on Friday to Saturday night. There was no difficulty with the crowd, and from the administration's perspective, we have no difficulty with their series. Our only remaining recommendation to you is that there be police assigned when they are serving liquor. Some of their concerts there will be no liquor served or sold, and some of them will. They'll still need to have the inspections for electrical purposes and fire purposes when they set up for bands, and they'll need to come and obtain those permits from the building department. We recommend to you that you waive the special event permit fee, that you hold the building permit fees in place for the events, and that police only be involved when there is beer going to be sold. When they're not serving beer or selling beer, we don't feel there's any need for police officers or auxiliary officers to be present. Thank you.
I think, Mr. Mayor, I think we agree on this condition. Last meeting, we decided to have one auxiliary officer and one regular police officer to cut down on their cost.
Right. We recommended that to you as a instead of having two. Typically, the administration's recommendation is that there's two officers to try and help them with costs. We recommended one officer and one auxiliary if we could schedule an auxiliary. The chief's memo to you is that he doesn't feel that they need an officer or an auxiliary if they're just having a concert and serving soft drinks. But if there is the sale of beer or alcohol on the premises, to make sure that underage people are not in a position to obtain it, or other problems, we do recommend that there continue to be one officer, and if we can schedule one auxiliary. But so we were pleased with what happened last Saturday, and we indicated to you, well, actually you indicated to us that you would do this once and then bring it back to you after their event on Saturday night the 15th and see how it all went. And as I said, we're pleased to report that everything went well.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, excuse me, I'll get up. Our last concert wasn't a very good concert. We didn't really have very much time to advertise for it. We did have an officer there. We didn't have alcohol. I suppose we'll be billed for that officer sometime in the future. We decided to scrap the whole idea because we, as a board, and speaking on behalf of the board of directors, do not feel it's fair. We have a permit for show, carnival, and exhibition. There's 2 exhibitions that go on every week in the city of Wayne. One at the Red Apple, one at Autoline. They're car shows. That's an exhibition. They have entertainment. Red Apple has alcoholic beverages. They don't have a permit. They don't have a police officer present. And if we have a problem with our building not having an occupancy permit, there's an establishment in Wayne that has an after-hours club that does not have an occupancy permit as an after-hours club. It's open sometimes till 5, 6 o'clock on Sunday morning. And I just don't feel it's fair that we have to pull a permit for this. We're all volunteer. We're a directorship-based organization. We don't have a membership. We do all this paperwork on our own. Nobody gets paid for it. We're trying to restore the theater. I keep hearing all this, let's get some businesses in here. Let's get some buildings restored and the city of Wayne looking better. I've been a member of this, or a resident of the city for 40 years. I've seen a beautiful village go to barren wasteland, and now it's finally coming back, and I think you guys are doing a great job. But this is just more and more work. By the time we went through all the work we had to do on the permits and paperwork, we really didn't have time to properly advertise. We don't have proper time even right now if we wanted to have alcohol at our next event. Speaking for myself, I ran the Michigan Theater in Detroit. It's rock concerts down there. We're not a fly-by-night operation. When we do something, we do it very well. We look over every aspect of it. Our building is heavily insured, although it doesn't have a certificate of occupancy. We do have over $10 million worth of insurance on that building. We look at every angle before we do anything. We just don't jump out and do it. And that's why we come before you and basically ask for your support and ask for waiver fees due to that you're trying to raise money, not spend it. And it just, for the electrical inspector to come out and inspect 2 extension cords, heavy duty, heavy gauge extension cords, and charge us $100. The building hasn't changed. As far as from last October, it's the same building. The fire department told me they had no problem with it. And Pat Ostrowski, the building department, has said they had no problem. And we don't do something and change it the next hour or the next day. We keep it the same. If it's inspected, that's the way it stays. Because we do this on our own, we don't hire people to do it for us. And so basically we're just scrapping the whole idea.
A couple things, Mr. Welsh. The 3 incidents you mentioned when you started would be a concern to us if there are violations of the same codes that we need to enforce citywide. So I would hope maybe you'll get with Chief Colligan before the night's over and further explain the notion of an after-hours club, or because that's certainly not something that is operating with our knowledge or anything of the sort, in addition to 2 other things you mentioned. But I guess the bottom line is, if something's going to be offered in Wayne, we're trying to pare this down to as few costs as we can for you folks, as few as we can. Evidenced by Chief Colligan's memo of June 17th about let's eliminate some of the cost here with not having off-duty police officers there. But when it comes to having something in town where there is no occupancy permit, that has to be looked at. It really does. There's just no way around that. You do good work. Appreciate what you're saying, but it has to be looked at on a case-by-case basis with no certificate of occupancy. When that happens, when we get to that magic day when the theater is such that it can be given a certificate of occupancy, some of this red tape, as you put it, will not be there. But until that time, we have to be assured that if there's something being offered in the city of Wayne for entertainment value, that the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens that attend it are protected. And that's the only reason. We're not trying to put you out of business. We're not trying to have you jump through more hoops than are necessary, but it's simply the basic safety of individuals has to be looked at. And so, that's why we're that. These other instances you bring up again, I would hope you get with the chief and we'll look into them. Mr. Mayor. Mr. Zach.
I don't want to leave the council with the impression that we're unaware of the incidents he's discussing, nor the audience or those that watch the tape of this meeting at home. I can understand his frustration, possibly with paperwork, but that's part of what the mayor was indicating in terms of processing things and inspecting things. And I did indicate in my remarks that when the fire department checked back on Saturday, they found nothing different than what they had seen on Friday. I was trying to indicate that we were pleased with what we saw Friday, and Saturday it remained the same. Some of our concern that things may have been added since we were there Friday. Typically, we would do that inspection on Saturday and charge $200 instead of $100. We stretched the rule for you so that you would only have to pay a $100 fee. So I'm, as spokesman for the administration, I'm sorry that you're abandoning your plan, but relative to TC's coffee house and music store, the staff is well aware of that program. They do not serve alcohol. It's only soft drinks. The health department has visited them. The city has visited with them. Building department, fire department. They serve only confections that are sold in a bag, potato chips or pretzels or what have you. We've been all over the place making sure that those that go there are safe and those that work there are safe, and that the people that live around it are properly represented by the city. Relative to the Red Apple, they do have a Class C liquor license. I'm unfamiliar with exactly what you were saying relative to things that they have going on there, but they do have a Class C liquor license. They do have an occupancy permit. They have a full kitchen. They have a large establishment there. We've been all over that place. We inspect it annually for video games. We inspect it annually for a number of things that come before this body. Relative to the auto place and their car show, I don't believe they serve anything there. I'm not really familiar with the weekend car shows that go on there, but it would not fall under the city's special event permit program that you need to fall under relative to having outdoor concerts on Michigan Avenue. So I'd be glad to meet with you, Mr. Welch, anytime with staff or just you and I to talk about the issues that you've raised. I wish you would have contacted me prior to this, and we could have done it before tonight's meeting or yesterday or whenever, and not taken necessarily the time tonight. But I'm available to do that, and I don't think that your comparison of yourself to these other three groups is an accurate comparison, and that's what I'm trying to point out now.
Well, the permit is for shows, carnivals, and exhibitions.
Special event permit, correct.
A car show is an exhibition.
It's not, does not fall under, at least the understanding I have of what they do there. Now, maybe we've missed something.
Well,
maybe.
I'm not saying,
But maybe we've missed something, but I don't think so. I don't think so. The staff is very diligent in terms of checking these things out, but we will review that matter. But the definition of the special event permit is contained in an ordinance, and it defines what we mean by special event permit. And a car show in a place that sells cars or repairs them, again, may or may not fall under that. We'd have to review that and report back to the council and at a later point.
Mr. Adams.
Well, as far as I know, temporary liquor license fell under certain rules by the Liquor Control Commission, and it required the city to make sure the public is in safe places. And Red Apple have already their license established by the Liquor Control Commission, by the state, by the city, and if they do something to improve their business sometime, extra car in the parking lot or show does not require them to serve outside the premises, I don't think we have any way of forcing them to take special license, because they already have their license, they're already established in business. So in your case, you have temporary license for 1 night or 2 nights a year. That fell under different requirement for the Liquor Control Commission. Therefore, the city have to make sure the public in safe places and check the electricity and the safety of the people. Because what you're telling me here, I believe everything you're telling me. But in case something happened tomorrow and we have incident where people get injured for that, the city is responsible for that. Are we willing to take a chance to put the public safety in your hand? I don't think so. We have to check and make sure the public safe in this place. So for the electrician, for the inspector to go check the electricity. I think John, as the city manager mentioned, we waive $100. We've been waiving most of the fee for you. I don't think you have too much to complain, really. I would really wish you have successful summer and improve your relation with the city and probably work in a more positive way.
Well, I hate to bring it up, it's the context. It's not liquor and it's not food and beverage. Special exhibition, an car show. Not so at a restaurant. It's a restaurant, it's a business. That's their occupancy.
Showing car in the parking lot, I don't think anything wrong with it. As long as the guy serves his liquor inside his places where he have license, I don't think we have a power to tell him you can't show car.
I have nothing wrong with the gentleman having a car show on his own property. I don't have, or anything on your own property. It's just the whole point that if we have to get a special exhibition permit, why doesn't...
Did he?
Well, a couple things. I want to bring this kind of too close. I suspect the car lot has a occupancy permit for their property, which is one of the critical things that we keep saying. If the palace, if and when that day comes, we'll all be much happier. What I would wish that you would take away from this tonight is that the administration is, in fact, as far as I can see, I misunderstood when you said an after-hours club. That means something to an old-timer, much different when you said it than it does to young guys like yourself. When I hear after-hours club, certain things that... I see some other people understood the definition.
Some experience there, right?
Yes. We will look into these. I hope, and I assume we are, equitably enforcing the city ordinances in a way they should be. If your thrust is the Palace Theater is being unduly singled out, I don't think that's accurate. I think our history shows that we're bending over backwards, but we will look into these other areas. We've done about as much as we can for on this issue. We've kind of whittled this thing down to as few dollars as we can spend, but we can't whittle it down to zero. I know you'd like that, but we just can't at this point.
It's another thing. He asked why he should have a special permit. Because you don't have a permanent liquor license. You apply for a new one every time you have an event. And the Liquor Control Commission would send paper to the city, ask them, is that place safe? Can I issue liquor license for that? Then we require you to do what we're asking you to do. I mean, there's something, it's out of our hand too. The state requires certain things from the city.
I'm totally familiar with the Liquor Control Commission and what they ask. I've ran many events with beer and wine, beer concessions for festivals and so on and so forth. We're not talking beer and wine or liquor right now. We don't even have enough time to apply for one.
Well, let us do this.
You don't advertise before you get everything in order, and we don't have time to advertise, so we're just going to scrap the whole thing. We have some beautiful groups lined up. We had a great group last Saturday. 12 people came. There was 8 of us and 12 of them, and everybody had a really good time, and I have a great videotape that I want to give to the cable, and I hope you all watch it, because we were really hoping to see some of your faces down there, because it was great. And we didn't have any alcohol. We had food and pop and iced tea, and it was very good. Very professional entertainment. That cost a lot of money, and now I can't afford to do it anymore.
Do we have a motion on the... We do?
Motion and support.
So your intent is simply to scrap the whole process? Then I guess we'll move the agenda. Appreciate your concern.
Item 4 on the agenda is site plan review. The first is for the Wayne Westland Federal Credit Union at 34646 10th Avenue.
Almost.
Miss Ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, members of the City Council, we have Mrs. Selma Wright present this evening to represent her plans for an addition which is to be constructed on the south side of the Wayne Westland Credit Union, which is located on the northeast corner of 2nd Street and Sims Avenue. As part of their plan, they will be reorienting the entrance to the building to the most easterly side of the building. As part of the project, the existing walkway, which spans north-south direction, will be eliminated. The elevation for the addition will be base brick consistent with the existing facade of the building. The Planning Commission considered this plan at their June 11th meeting, and they're recommending to you with 3 contingencies noted in my memo June 12th to you, that this plan be approved.
Thank you, Ms. Ma'am. Ms. Wright, anything you want to add, or you've got a copy of the 3 contingencies? Any concerns? Or?
Yes, I do. I just had one question, and that is, do I submit the landscaping plan here or to the planning department? Okay.
Planning department.
Yes, thank you.
Move approval.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Thank you.
The next site plan is for the Harry J. Will Funeral Home, 34567 Michigan Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, the applicant this evening is Jim Will. This plan was originally considered by you in September of 1994. At that time, you approved the plan. His implementation to go has been delayed, so the approval time period has elapsed. So we've brought this plan back before you to ask for a continuance of the previously granted approval. The plan, as it was submitted to you in September of 1994, has not changed. They intend to utilize the existing approach on Michigan Avenue eastbound. They're bounded by 4th Street on the east. They would like to reorient the drive on westbound Michigan Avenue to a location more to the west of their property line. They're establishing quite a grand landscape plan and earth berm, both in the most easterly portion of the property and the perimeter of the building, to include brick pavers and a good deal of landscaping. They also have landscaping proposed along the west property line and interior to the parking lot. It is a very good plan. As part of the staff's review, we noted that the parking spaces spec'd in the plan are 1 foot shorter than what the city's off-street parking and loading ordinance require. So we have asked the applicant in the form of a contingency to apply to the Zoning Board of Appeals and to ask for a variance regarding that item. Additionally, handicap parking is provided as part of the plan. We have indicated that in order for those spots to be enforced for handicap use, a sign needs to be established in the spaces, designated their intended use, and additionally, a letter needs to be submitted to the police chief authorizing the police department to enforce the handicap provisions of the parking code on the property. With those 3 notes, the Planning Commission also recommends that you approve this plan.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Mr. Will, any concerns about the contingencies?
Not at all.
Very nice plan. It'd be very nice as people come into town to see that beautiful landscape.
Move for approval.
Support.
Been moved and supported. We approve the site plan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Will.
Third site plan is for BFI Waste Systems, 5400 Cogswell Road.
Mr. Joe Denson is present to represent the plan for BFI Waste Systems. They have recently been before the Zoning Board of Appeals to grant permission to house a temporary office modular structure, on their property on Cogswell Road. that variance was approved. It's their plan to utilize this additional space to house some office staff. Their building is oriented about in the middle of their property. They keep the trucks parked in the most easterly. They have a visitor parking lot to the north and an employee parking lot to the south of the building. Their proposed location for the modular office is 5 feet away from the building and 3 feet away from an existing fence. As part of the staff review, we've asked them to increase that spacing so that it's a little bit further away from the fence to provide an adequate walkway and means of emergency access. Additionally, we have asked for some more detail to be provided on the plan to ensure that none of the existing utilities will be impacted by the weight load of the proposed modular office. This property has the applicant has been occupying this building for a long time. There's some maintenance items that additionally needed to be tended to as part of this plan. Both of the parking lots are in disrepair and need to be repaired, restriped, seal coated, and they need to be striped for handicapped and typical parking. Additionally, there are parking spaces where parking blocks need to be installed along the north property line. We've asked that that be tended to. Some abandoned sign poles exist along the drive on the north parking lot, and we've indicated all of that to you in my note of June 12th for a total of 8 contingencies attached to approval of this plan.
Thank you. Mr. Ganzik? Any concerns or
No.
comments about the contingencies there?
No, we'll be able to handle the contingency.
Very good. Nice looking modular building. Council's pleasure.
Approval. Support.
Moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The last site plan is for Domestic Linen Supply and Laundry Company, 7292 Van Born Road.
Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, members of the council, Mr. David Colton was expected to be the applicant. He couldn't be present. He had sent Mr. Joe Bay.
No, David Hoy.
Oh, boy.
David.
To represent the plan on his behalf.
I didn't get your last name.
Hoy, H-O-Y.
Okay, thank you.
This is by far the most detailed of the plans I presented to you this evening, as it calls for the construction of a new 10,900 square foot building on Van Born Road, just east of the existing Domestic Linen Supply and Laundry Company. Their plan to occupy the new building and to vacate the existing building. As proposed, they have called for 2 curb cuts on Van Born Road for the purposes of ingress and egress of their truck traffic. Another factor taken into consideration as part of the review of this plan is that the property, both on the east and the west side, is bounded by single-family residential structures. They're additionally proposing a detention pond in the most northerly portion of the property, which was an area of concern. As you can tell from looking at the plan, it does grade at in the middle to a depth of 6 feet. As part of the staff's review, we have asked that detention pond be enclosed with a fence and that a maintenance gate be established for servicing areas. Additionally, we're concerned that the grade tips off onto the adjacent property, which is city-owned. And so we need to continue working with the engineers to come up with a design that won't negatively impact our land. The applicant has indicated that they're willing to do that. Additionally, as part of the staff's review, we had asked that one of the driveway approaches be eliminated from Van Born Road, in large part due to the proximity of the drive to the house located on the east side of the property. And additionally, we've had some preliminary discussions with Wayne County, who are the folks that will consider a curb cut permit on Van Born Road, and they did not find this orientation at all palatable for their purposes based on the high volume of traffic along Van Born Road and additionally the speed. We think that with one drive approach, we can still maintain the interior orientation of traffic on the property quite suitably and minimize the negative impact to the homeowner located just east. Additionally, as our code requires, we have asked that masonry walls be established on both the east and the west sides of the property from the front property line spanning to the end of the building. The rest of the detail that we have requested as part of the review are additional engineering details that need to be provided to the city for our review prior to the issuance of permits on this project. Mr. Colton, in a phone conversation with me last week, indicated that he was quite interested in initiating construction on this project. With that, I'd like to ask you to consider approving it so that he can go forward with the additional detail that we need to review, and he can commence construction this season.
Thank you. Mr. Hoy, any comments or any? Nice looking building coming to town.
Is that any temporary trailer in front of the building now?
Pardon?
Do you have a temporary trailer on the Van Born side?
Existing building?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that gonna
That'll go away.
go away?
Hopefully the building will.
Council's pleasure.
Move for approval.
Support.
Moved and supported. Approve the site plan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Hoy.
Next item on your agenda is bid awards. Consideration of 2 bid awards for the Senior Activity Center to be paid from the Senior Activity Center construction budget. The first is for electrical.
Move for approval for the low bid of $91,638.
Support.
Supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the second is for food service equipment.
Move approval of the low bid of $43,801.
Support.
Supported. Any discussion? Ms. Schwartz, I have one comment. Ms. Fowler, you see, I have one comment. How come a single bid? Is that in this industry?
Two bids, although the other person who placed the bid did not follow procedure and send a bid bond, so that made them ineligible.
Okay, thank you very much.
We have a motion and support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Consideration of bid awards for the construction of Central Business District Parking Lot Number 2 to be paid from the Downtown Development Authority budget.
Move for approval for the low bid $360,000.
Support.
Move supported. Any discussion? The benefit of the audience, parking lot number 2 is the parking lot on the north side of Sims Avenue. All those in favor say aye. Excuse me.
South side.
Excuse me, the south side of Sims Avenue. Side of the road. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Should have done a voice count.
Consideration of bid award for repairs to the 2nd Street Bridge to be paid from the fiscal year 96-97 Major Streets budget.
Move approval of low bid of $75,942.50.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Mr. Paul?
Ramsey, do they have a projected start and completed date for this project? If the five were looked at it
Yes, initially they wanted to start the week of the 23rd or the 24th, which is next week. But they called us this morning and they said they can't start until after the 4th of July. So, and this is between 2 to 3 weeks job for TA all.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the agenda was printed with a mistake, and the mistake was created because of the comment. It really isn't a mistake. The comment that Mr. El-Garib just made is we were informed that they wanted to start in this fiscal year. Today, they informed us that they want to start in the next fiscal year. So we had already printed the agenda showing 95, 96. The ones that are at places tonight in the crowd show 95 and 96, but it's the 96 and 97 fiscal year that this project is in.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Consideration of bid award for the Woodbrook Area Stormwater Drainage Improvement Project Phase 2.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, we recommend to you that you reject this bid. It is the only one we received. It's considerably higher than the construction estimate. We'd like to reject it, re-advertise the project, and try and get some additional bids. We can do that and still do that work this year. So we do ask you to reject this bid.
So move the recommendation to reject.
Support. Moved and supported. We reject the bid. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6, business licenses and permits. Application from the Southland Corporation to add Mary and Ibrahim Rizkala as co-licensees and drop Darwin and Madeline Snyder as co-licensees at the SDM licensed business at 32324 Annapolis.
So move the transfer.
Supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 7, ordinances and permits. Second reading and adoption of an amendment to Taxi Ordinance 868.25, rates for taxi cabs.
I move approval of the second reading.
Supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Comments from persons in the audience on matters not covered by the council agenda.
Anybody wish to address the council about items not on the agenda? Seeing no hands.
I'd like to mention something. We have the Citizen Against Crime have a seminar tomorrow, and we have the guest speaker, John O'Hare, the Wayne County prosecutor, and if anybody like to attend at 7 p.m. at the community center in the city of Wayne. And the subject is gang and crime, and then I have the floor open for question for the prosecutor to answer all the question you have for him.
Clerk will move the agenda then.
Item 8, appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. Resignation of Cindy Stewart from the Festival Commission.
Move to accept with proper letter.
Support.
Any further discussion?
And I'd like to say, you know, with Cindy leaving, she was really a good person to have on the Festival Commission. She came from the Novi 50/60s Festival, and then now she's moved on to Dearborn. For the short time she was with us, she did a lot to improve on our festival, so I'd like to say thank you to Cindy.
All those in favor of accepting the resignation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Reappointment of the following. The Commission on Aging to July of 1999. Laverne Selmo, Kathleen Smith, and Genevieve Sorrell.
So move.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? These are all reappointments. Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I imagine the city attorney wants them all done individually.
If we could do it just by commission or board, I think that'd be a fair compromise.
Kathleen Darfler to the Arts and Entertainment Committee to July 1999.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thomas Daly and James Lynn to the Cemetery Board, July of 2000.
So moved.
Supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Edwin Noyes to the Electrical Examining Board to July 1999.
So moved.
Supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Robert Boyles, Donald Crick, and Bernice Millar to the Planning Commission to July of 1999.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
John Martin and Sharon Popek to the Recreation Advisory Board, July of 1999.
Mr. Mayor, I got a question.
Mr. Dickerson.
I see in our packet, Mrs. Popek has filled out a request to reserve and to serve another term. Did we have anything from Mr. Martin?
Yes, each of these individuals returned the same form. I just provided copies where they had made a comment that I thought you'd be interested
Oh,
in.
okay. Okay, so he did. Okay.
Yes.
Move approval.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Robert Boyles and Dennis Hermat to the Zoning Board of Appeals, July 1999.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Appointment of Richard Turk, 36052 John R., to fill the unexpired term of Cindy Stewart to October 1998.
Move approval.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Turk is present tonight.
Oh, Mr. Turk, congratulations. I should have introduced you prior to. I want to say a few words on the Festival Commission.
Well, I've been a part of the festival as a participant for about 11 years, basically through St. Mary's CYO. Chaired the pancake breakfast for several years and chaired the chicken barbecue also for 7 years, and been involved with the beer tent for the better part of the 11 years.
Enjoy having you there. It'll be a busy weekend for you come this.
And get up to snuff quick there.
Yeah. Thank you for serving.
Reappointment of Councilwoman McEachern and Frank Boner to the Suggestion and Award Board to May 1998.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion?
Just accidentally at the last meeting, we asked you to handle this matter. You did for a 3-year term. The ordinance says that the term is to be 2 years, so this is actually a correction to the last meeting.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Resignation of Tom Julin from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Move approval.
Support with proper letter.
Moved and supported to accept Mr. Julian's resignation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Appointment of ZBA alternate Mike von Bronsberg to the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill the unexpired term of Tom Julin to July 1997.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Appointment of Russell Coleman, 31680 Madison, as an alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill the unexpired term of Mike von Bronsberg to November 1997.
Move approval.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
There's a hand up.
I'm sorry. Mr. Press. I didn't see.
I want to ask Mr. Zach if he could tell us the process for a little bit about how you go about receiving, for instance, this gentleman here, Russell Coleman, as a nominee for this position? What are the origins? How does it come about? Does a citizen call you? Is it done from within that board? How does it happen?
Numerous ways, two of which you've identified. Citizens will indicate to a member of the council or to a member of the staff that they would be interested in serving on a board. Some of them indicate a particular board that they might be interested in. Some of them say, if you can use me in some way, I'd be glad to help. Some send letters. Sometimes members of a board will recommend that Mr. X or Mrs. Y would be a good member to consider. And so we're always looking for good volunteers. The pay never changes, but the work is fun. So that's how it happens.
In this case, was it that way, a citizen, or did this come from? My concern is that I've talked to the council before, that when items are added to the agenda late and you accept the resignation and then fill a seat on the same night, it was just my observation that appears, different.
Mr. Press on the...
Can I finish my point?
Sure, then we'll answer.
Philip, please. And I understand that with here, it appears that Mr. Julian resigned, you have an alternate, you fill the spot with the alternate. But with item G, had you gone through a process where you had, it doesn't seem like that, unless it's a statutory requirement that this be mandatory, this position filled tonight. Was there a process you went through to say, okay, the alternate, we don't necessarily have to reappoint him tonight? Did you put get any other nominees? Was there any process undertaken to do that? Again, I've raised this before. You're adding the items. We've talked about how this process of the agenda being produced as a management letter comes out either late Friday or late Monday, and then sometimes items are added the Tuesday late afternoon before the council meeting. I don't think it gives people an opportunity for any, and I've raised this before, but any dialogue, giving other people an opportunity to be nominated. And again, here we are about a year later, and I see we're filling this in the same manner, and I was just wondering if that's not a concern. It is to me, and I
Well, Mr. Press, can I try to answer your question now?
Sir.
Thank you, sir. We are always, as Mr. Zeck said, this time, and as you brought up maybe a year ago, and we addressed it at that time, we're always looking for citizens that wish to serve on these various boards and commissions. I'm kind of proud of the fact in the city of Wayne, we have about 1% of our population serving on boards and commissions in this town. And we're constantly developing lists and putting names in and so on. It does not need to wait till the very day that if, for example, if you would be interested in serving on the zoning board of appeals, we'd love to have your name on a list that we can in fact expedite city government as fast as we can by taking those that are interested in serving this community and having them ready to serve. So, that's how it's done. We have many citizens that express wishes. Mr. Turk here, for example, has expressed prior to tonight interest in serving on the festival commission, and his name was on a list, and we chose that way. So that's pretty much how it's been done, and how it's been done for many years.
Okay, thank you.
We have a motion and support for Mr. Coleman's appointment.
No. Any further discussion on Mr. Coleman's? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 9, communications and reports. Citizens' letter of appreciation concerning police officer Jason Wright.
Chief Colligan, can you communicate to Officer Wright our pleasure in his fine work? This is an outstanding letter from a citizen regarding some nice things he's done.
Yes,
Again, above and beyond what's normally expected, which is very nice to see.
Letter from the Board of Directors of the Wayne Chamber of Commerce offering its support to the city regarding the federal district court litigation involving the cleanup of the Rouge River Basin.
Receiving the file. Council has had a chance to read it.
Letter from the Public Relations Director of Ameritech concerning its payment centers.
Receive and file. Any questions?
Municipal Facts Advisory from the Michigan Municipal League regarding various matters.
Receive and file unless there's something the council wish to bring up.
Memo from the Personnel Director regarding city employment practices that were discussed at the last City Council meeting.
Madam Clerk, would you read the memo, please? Read it into the record.
The memo from Robert English, Personnel Director, to the City Manager. During the last council meeting, a discussion took place regarding the procedures that were followed for advertising and posting of the Aquatics Director and Children's Librarian positions. I can assure you that these positions were not posted only inside City Hall, as was suggested. The recruitment and hiring procedures that we followed with these positions were fair and non-discriminatory and consistent with the established past practices that we follow for all full-time positions. Both positions were advertised as follows. In the following newspapers: Detroit News and Free Press, Michigan Community News, Observer, Eccentric, and Michigan Chronicle. It was mailed to the Michigan Employment Security Commission, the NAACP, David Rose, Detroit Urban League. And it was sent to the following schools: Cleary College, Eastern Michigan University, Henry Ford Community College, Macomb Community College, Madonna University, Oakland Community College, Schoolcraft Community College, U of M Dearborn, Washtenaw Community College, Wayne County Community College, Wayne State University, Oakland University, and U of M Ann Arbor.
Thank you, Ms. Snell. Thank you, Mr. English, for putting that together and correcting the record.
Memo from the City Manager to the Parks and Recreation Director regarding a request from the First Congregational Church of Wayne.
I just wanted you to be aware of the fact that you had granted them a waiver on a fee at your last meeting to use the amphitheater, and for various reasons they decided they didn't want to do it, but they were very appreciative of the fact that you granted their waiver.
Memo from the Library Director concerning 2 Library Services and Construction Act grants.
Very good memo from our librarian, Ms. Van Stipdunk. Anything you want to say on this, Lois, in terms of this? Almost over $13,000 or $23,000?
Every year there are grants offered that we can write competitive grants, and we wrote 3 last year, and we're awarded 2 again this year. So we're very pleased with that, and we'll be spending our money wisely. One of them, though, I think I should tell you, came about, the one that I wrote, these came about from a council meeting last year. And that was when I came and they talked about the gangs, that people were complaining about gangs, and I went back, and the grant is actually to buy videos on self-esteem and parenting, books, and books on children and developing self-esteem. We hope to be able to utilize those through the courts and police departments and various other community organizations.
Good. Thank you.
Item 10, general items for consideration. Payment for emergency stormwater drainage repairs at Forest Playground to Don Young Landscape in the amount of $4,233 to be paid from the Parks and Recreation Capital Replacement Budget.
Move approval.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Implementation of the automatic bill payment for water and sewer bills, authorizing the Finance Director to negotiate an agreement with National Bank of Detroit for direct debit service and authorizing the payment of costs.
Move approval.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion?
What's the average cost would be to the city?
I'll let the experts,
Mr. Murray?
Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, members of the council, the automatic debit service or payment service for water customers will cost the city just under $2,000 initially for the purchase of a computer, a modem, and roughly about $70 to $80 in terms of line charges and bank charges. relatively minimal cost for the service. We're very pleased to be able to offer it to water customers, similar to utility companies, and Ameritech also was on your agenda tonight.
Would be no additional cost to the customer.
There will be no additional cost to the customer.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on the automatic bill payment system for the water bill? Pleased to see this happening. This makes a tremendous convenience to our customers, especially a lot of our folks that are gone for several months at a time. They can have this done automatically. So glad to see it. This motion before us?
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported.
Did.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Change orders concerning the aquatic center to be paid from the aquatic center construction budget. First is change order number 2 to Ann Arbor Fire Protection, $3,076.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Change order number 3, Earlycon Company, $4,726.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Change order number 4, Guardian Electric, $364.
Move approval.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Change order number 6, Guardian Electric, $1,441.
So moved.
Moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Change order number 1, Harrison Construction, $960.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Again, any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Change order number 3, Huron Valley Glass Company, $3,542.
Move approval.
That's a negative change.
Negative.
Sorry.
That's negative.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Change order number 1, R.E. Leggett, $3,100.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Once again, any discussion? Mr. Preston?
Remove the partitions, install new ones.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
what the scope of that?
Yes.
Were those first ones bad or something?
Mrs. Fellow?
These were part of the improvements that are part of the aquatic center budget for the existing community center toilet.
Thank you.
So the current toilet partitions are 20-some years old?
22.5 years.
22 and a half years old. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Change order number 1, Joseph Leisman, negative amount of $1,980.
Move approval.
Support.
Support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the last one is change order number 2, Simone Contracting, $6,072.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Oh, Mr. Spall.
Before we go on, I just want to say I had the honor of going on a tour of this aquatic center with Ms. Fallow on Tuesday, was it? I believe, or Monday. And, well, today's Tuesday. Anyway, the last time I saw the building was in November, it was right after Thanksgiving, and it's a phenomenal building. It's one of the finest. It's every bit as gorgeous as the library it is right now. It's just a beautiful building. It's come along great.
So have your swimming suit ready then.
That's right.
Won't be long.
you need a vote on the last item?
Yes, there is a motion support already.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Fellow, I'm glad we received Martin Mallow's Project Manager's Report number 8, which showed us right on budget to finish and no anticipated delays. That's really outstanding. I'm very pleased with that we can bring this project on budget as we had bid. Thank you.
Disclosure resolution for the Central Wayne County Sanitation Authority bond issues.
If you have any questions, Bart, the city attorney can tell you what.
Simply to indicate that as a part of the bonding issue, there's a need on the part of the city to disclose certain items in the event that our share of the debt load exceeds 10%. The City of Wayne's debt load does not exceed 10%. I think that it's a pro forma that we approved it, but certainly to comply with the request of bond counsel, I would suggest that you comply. It's simply a reporting requirement. And at this point does not apply to us anyhow. But as I say, the bond council has asked that all of the 5 member cities adopt the resolution.
When the city attorney indicates that our share is less than 10%, that's based on our tonnage. And of the 5 members of the authority, Wayne is the smallest, and we amount to or account for about 8% of the trash that's brought to the incinerator.
Council Spider?
So moved.
Support. Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Cancellation of certain 1990 delinquent personal property taxes.
We don't like to recommend this to you, but we have gone the extra mile to try and recover these funds. These companies are bankrupt, and in many cases, people involved in them are deceased. And so in order to close the books properly by June 30th, we ask that you approve this. This is a standard practice we do every June with certain delinquent personal property taxes that are just plain uncollectible, and so we do the right thing accounting-wise by asking you to cancel them.
Do you have any estimate how much the amount is?
$5,323.45 from the 1990.
Yeah, just for the people to know it's not $1
Right.
million.
I would indicate for the record that that $5,000 figure includes school taxes. The city's share of that is substantially less.
Yeah.
The city is only $1,139.05.
Just should be mentioned.
Amount we will cancel of the 1990 property taxes, again, due to the fact they're simply uncollectible.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
3-year agreement with the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority with authorization for the Assistant Finance Director to sign the coverage documents.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. We continue our relationship with risk management. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Payment for the annual Zamboni maintenance to Charles R. Moeller and Sons in the amount of $3,955.87 to be paid from the Community Center repairs and maintenance budget.
Move approval.
Support.
Moved and supported.
How old is the Zamboni?
Ms. Fellow? How old is
How
our-
long?
I think this one was purchased back in '88, about 8 years ago.
Do we have any problem with the pollution on it? Is that one time somebody,
The big article in the paper
Yeah.
regarding the CO level
Right.
in Ice. No, we've been very fortunate to have our levels way below what is acceptable in Ice.
thank you.
Council, please.
You have a motion
So moved.
for it.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Adoption of weed list number 2.
So moved for approval.
Support.
Moved and supported. Just Check and make sure mine's not on there. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Change order number 1 for the 1994 Comprehensive Improvement Assistant Program contract for the Public Housing Division with Qualified Construction Corporation in the amount of $2,465 to be paid from a HUD modernization grant.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Zek?
I just would like to point out, along the same lines that you've been doing along the way, this is a $110,000 grant roughly, and there's been, for the removal of some fixtures, so this was needed to, additional money is needed for some plaster work, so it's a very small percentage of the overall project.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
1-year agreement with GrowthWorks for the Youth Assistance Program.
So moved.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Amendments to the Parks and Recreation Department fee schedule for fiscal year 96-97.
Move approval.
Support.
Supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Partial purchase of RecWare software for the Parks and Recreation Department covering activity registrations, facility rental, and memberships in the amount of $7,668 to be paid from the fiscal year 95-96 MIS capital budget.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Ms. Fellow, what is a partial purchase?
We had $7,900 budgeted this year in our MIS budget to purchase some RecWare programs. That will not cover the entire purchase that we would like to place with RecWare. With the onset of the aquatic center, with the additional need for an identification system and additional computers set up, we need to purchase additional packages in the next fiscal year. We have $15,000 allocated in the next fiscal year MIS budget to further our purchase. Okay?
Okay, but we are purchasing 68
Yes.
worth of software this time.
From this budget.
You're right, from the 95-96 budget.
Then we'll come back. Later this year, we're coming back.
I'll be back to you the first meeting in July.
Look forward to it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So the first,
Yes, one other partial purchase. Okay.
Traffic control order number 416 for stop signs at the northwest and southeast corners of Newberry and Main Streets.
So moved.
Support.
moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Payment for the emergency repair of fire truck number 201 to West Shore Fire Repair in the amount of $17,005.10 to be paid from the fire department's repairs and maintenance budget.
Move approval.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Chief, the fire 201 is back in service?
Yes, sir.
Further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Change order number 1 with Shoreview Electric Company regarding the Central Business District parking lot number 2 in the negative amount of $13,472.
So moved for negative amount of $13,472.
Support.
Supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Change order number 1 with Wayne Asphalt Paving Company for the Central Business District parking lot number 2 in the negative amount of $19,700.
Move approval.
Support. Supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. When do we expect construction to start on? Debbie, what's the time frame for that?
The construction trailer will be moved in prior to the end of this week, and construction will commence next week.
Do we have everybody on board? I'm thinking the Omega folks and so on. Are they still working on it?
The project spans west of the Omega restaurant to Wayne Road.
Okay. Still working on it.
Yes.
Great.
Fiscal year 95-96 budget transfers and amendments.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Declaration of a moratorium on the issuance of building permits regarding the establishment of cellular antenna towers.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, would you let Debbie Manns discuss this for a minute or two? We don't typically ask you to do these kinds of things, and we'd like you to understand why we are coming forward tonight based on the activity in the cellular telephone world. Go ahead, Deb.
Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, members of the council, as I indicated to you in my memo, the convenience and personal safety associated with cellular phones and paging devices have created a real new market for these types of services. Additionally, the FCC has really liberalized their standards in terms of the establishment and the regulation of these towers. As a result of that, the City Hall staff has just been inundated with phone calls from folks who are interested in establishing towers in the city. Over the course of the last 3 weeks, we've talked to representatives from 12 different companies that would like to establish towers, some of which are interested in establishing towers at multiple locations within the city. Due to the fact that the planning and zoning code was adopted and predates any talk of cellular antenna towers, I don't believe we do an adequate job of addressing some issues that we need to consider as part of the approval process for the establishment of these towers. The reason I put forward a request to authorize thank you, moratorium. I borrowed the word from Dick. On the issuance of building permits is to allow us some time to review how some of our neighbors are considering this issue, and also to give a good amount of thought to the aesthetics, the public process that needs to be associated with this, and all safety-related items. Based on our preliminary review, we feel that a 4-month period of time is an adequate amount of time for us to both study the issue and to make a recommendation to the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission in turn to you regarding the adoption of an ordinance.
Thank you, Ms. Manns. Council, the pleasure.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Recommendation to give part-time employees 2 additional paid time off days beginning with fiscal year 96-97.
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Proposed fiscal year 96-97 department head compensation plan.
So moved.
Support. Moved and supported. Any discussion? Mr. Press.
Can anybody speak to maybe give us a brief synopsis on the plan?
Yes, we can. The city manager is recommending that the council approve a 5-point item for the compensation plan for department heads, plus the deputy chief and deputy chief of police and deputy fire fire chief, fire marshal. Increase the compensation of deputy police chief and deputy fire chief, fire marshal by 3%. This is consistent with wage increases received by other employee groups. Establish a wage scale for department heads that will allow the city manager the opportunity to increase their 96, 97 compensation based on individual performance over the past year. This increase would be in a range of 1% to 5% of new money above their 95, 96 compensation level. Item 3, increase the employee contribution towards health insurance from 0.5% to 1%. This is consistent with the settled collective bargaining agreements. Item 4 is a 1-week holdback provision for wages payable, which is also consistent with some of the other collective bargaining agreements. Item 5, increase the optical reimbursement program from $95 to $150 per year.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Again.
Professional services agreement with MFIT for various services at the Health and Fitness Center for an amount not to exceed $7,000 to be paid from the Parks and Recreation Professional Services budget.
So move the agreement.
Support.
Supported. Any discussion? You have fine addition to the services we offer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Purchase of 4 acres in Dynamite Park from Wayne County for the construction of an equalization basin in the amount of $40,000 to be paid from the CSO equalization basin construction budget.
So move for approval.
Support. Moved and supported. Any discussion?
Question back here.
Yes, sir.
It seems to me I recall when all this discussion was going on a year and a half or so ago that there was a talk of a 99-year lease on the property from Wayne County. Am I mistaken in that?
That's true.
What happened?
The city has a 99-year lease with Wayne County relative to this property south of the river from Elizabeth to Vinoy. But in order to construct in it, we need to purchase 4 of those acres in order to build a structure in it. And so that's what the city attorney and Mr. El Garib and the finance department have been working on. But we do have a 99-year lease on the Wayne County property south of the river from Vinoy to Elizabeth, which we have the paths through and the lights and park equipment.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
5 sets of board and commission minutes before you on the consent calendar.
Move without any exception.
Moved and seconded. Approved without exception. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Request to adjourn to a closed.
Go ahead.
Request to adjourn to a closed session to discuss specific pending litigation and a legal opinion.
So moved.
Support. Go to a closed session. We need a roll call vote.
Yes, we do. Mr. Phillips?
Aye.
Councilman Dickerson?
Aye.
Councilman Haddis?
Aye.
Councilwoman Dobrovolsky? Aye. Councilman Powell?
Adjourn to the conference